Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Jason Mack here with a very special guest today, Emily Burris from Operation Engagement, bringing all sorts of engaging stuff to your classroom. So give a big round of applause for Emily Burris. Yay. Emily, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I have been teaching in Yukon for the last few years, my entire career as an educator. I graduated from Oklahoma State University,
Nice, go
go
Pugs.
Pugs, yes,
Yeah.
and came to Yukon to be a student teacher, and then I just never left. I love it there so much. It's been a great experience. I started out in the middle of the year, which was a crazy
Ooh, yeah, that's a good
experience as a
experience, yeah.
first-year educator,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and then I've been in first grade since then.
Did you start in first grade?
Yes,
Your
I
mid-year?
student taught in
Woo!
first grade and then
Bless.
stayed in first grade.
Oh.
My heart is there in that early
Sure.
childhood range, so that's definitely been what I've been passionate about. And then this year, I've been very blessed to have accepted a position at another Yukon school as an instructional specialist. So moving in a leadership direction as I finished my master's degree
Very
from
good.
UCO
Go
in
Broncos.
educational. Yeah, very lucky to been able to finish that this year, and then. Just through those roles, I've gotten to meet so many teachers, explore what I wanted school to be like, and just kind of seek out some opportunities as a lifelong learner. Just moving into like what is teaching going to look like for me? It doesn't have to look the same as it has for everyone
Sure,
else,
absolutely.
especially in a time when education is changing so much
Right.
and people are feeling tension or frustration.
Right.
I thought, it's got to be fun. I just finished my time as a college student to make this my career for the rest of
Right.
my life. So you want to make sure that you're doing something that you're passionate
Right.
about in a way that is bringing you joy each day.
Right.
I was just thinking.
Why did you choose first grade? Like what?
Oh my
Like
gosh.
I used to be an elementary school principal, and like pre-K and kindergarten, like I was lost in the sauce. Like I could not. Like those kids were just too young for me. Like their mental processing wasn't there. Like the logical thinking and stuff wasn't there yet. How do
Yes.
you do first grade? Like that seems so
Oh
challenging
my gosh,
to
they are my favorite
me.
people in the entire world. When you see the little pre-K students walking down the hallway in their little line holding hands, they're
Yeah.
just the most adorable. When I said you want to do something that brings you joy, that is
Right.
where I found it. In early childhood education is where I just find my happiness and work.
Nice.
My first grade teacher, I know people always have those stories of someone who's impacted them greatly, but my first grade teacher, Beverly Waldorf, was the person that kind of turned education around for me. I was kind of being viewed as a student who was not getting their work done, maybe not causing trouble, but kind of getting lost in the chaos or flying under the radar. And she made sure that I was a person who was going to be noticed and someone who was
Nice.
important. I still have the framed poster that she gave me from the book fair.
Nice.
Junie B. Jones poster.
Yeah,
She found
Junie B.
something that I
Jones.
could connect with and made me
get it.
feel like
Yeah.
I was a learner. I was
Yeah.
supposed to be there in the classroom. And I was lucky enough in my middle school career to be able to go back and work with her as an aide. And I just saw her doing it for every single child that came through her classroom. And I thought, like, I've got to do that for the kids who mean so much to me.
Yeah.
So first grade it is.
Yeah.
I
So now,
was-
what is your new role going to be?
This year, I've moved into a role as an instructional specialist for Yukon Public Schools, which has been so neat to get to see the behind the scenes, the bigger picture of what's happening in education. I think sometimes we get so
Is that
stuck
like
in
in
our.
between, like an assistant principal?
That's
and
how
like
I've described it to
okay.
people, yes. And a lot of times you hear it called as an instructional coach.
Okay.
Or,
okay. Yeah.
and we're kind of more instructional specialists where we're not specialized in reading or math. We're just kind of working as a team to serve our entire school.
Nice.
A lot of intervention groups, a lot of
Nice.
data work, really helping our teachers to set goals, really explore different instructional strategies, really just getting to do the behind the scenes work to make sure that things are happening for all of our students,
Very
high,
nice.
low, in between everyone that we need to reach. So
Yeah, and I didn't realize that going from the secondary level down to the elementary school, how big that pulling that small groups and having like your structured time for intervention and stuff like that is. I mean,
Absolutely.
it's so freaking powerful for those kiddos because, like you said, they come in at all different levels, and especially now our babies, our ELL coming up, kindergarten and first graders, that have a real hard time with the English language, and so having those
Yeah.
interventions and small groups and stuff like that is super important. I'm glad that you're doing that.
kind of interesting how it used to be kind of like an instructional strategy where we're talking about differentiation as something we needed to look into, but now it's almost just become general best
Right.
practice
Yeah.
when we have all these students coming from such different backgrounds.
Absolutely. So talk to us about Operation Engagement. What is this?
It is the result of just a passion project, just the style of teaching that I had developed in my own classroom. So it's been kind of a whirlwind. It's all happened kind of this year in 2019 officially.
Nice.
Or I guess we're in 2020 now, but
Right.
moving forward into this year and was excited for growth. But it kind of all originated when I had 6-year-olds in first grade coming into the classroom already defeated. They were already saying school is not a place for me. School is not something I like. They were having this mindset that learning is not fun, that we were at school because we had to be and we would rather be at home playing Fortnite or sleeping or you know, the things that first graders would rather be doing. And it was kind of hard for me to come in there with such enthusiasm as a first year teacher, seeing that I wanted school to be a fun place. I wanted us to have that classroom community that everyone talks about, and we were going to have fun learning. And I was kind of taken aback that that wasn't the norm. That wasn't their natural response to learning.
Yeah.
And since then, I've gotten to talk with so many kindergarten teachers, pre-K teachers, and they're telling me how much has been pushed down with our, I mean, we're all seeking these rigorous outcomes, and we're really focusing on data and trying to achieve high-level things for our students in Oklahoma, which we're proud of and we're working hard on. Then they say that a lot of the purposeful play has just been lost. And we've got first graders and kindergartners sitting there in their desk all day with a pencil in hand and a lot.
Instead of
Exactly, yeah.
kindergarten or first grade classroom.
And you can kind of see, I picture it almost as a visual with just like a black and white overlay, like a filter. That's just like what school's turned into. It's kind of turned into just something that kids aren't super interested in. For example, I walked into a restroom at a public school one day whenever I was at a professional development event, and on the wall was this lovely little acrostic poem. Someone had been doing extra credit on the wall in the bathroom. But it was school written out vertically, and it said 7 cruel hours of our lives. And I thought, if that is
crushing.
I know, as an educator, it says this kills you. But it was just crazy for me to think that, like, if that's really the feeling that students are having, 7 cruel hours that they have to suffer through every day, and we think about it, they're coming in pre-K through their senior year. We've got them for so many days, and if they're already in their second year of education saying this isn't for me, it's a long road ahead. So I kind of made it my mission to combat that. So I dove into some research as I was moving in to like find what my role looked like as a teacher, and found a lot of information about experiential learning, project-based learning. We started talking about integrative thematic instruction and just really what those looked like being put into an early childhood elementary classroom. So that was where it all began, and I found a book called The Wild Card by Hope and Wade King. I know there's a lot of people who have heard about Ron Clark Academy in Atlanta and all of the amazing work they're doing for student engagement. And Hope and Wade King were teachers there and now have kind of gone out on their own in this big adventure called Get Your Teach On. And so I read their book. They talked a ton about this crazy thing I had never heard of called classroom transformations. And so then I dove into the deep, vast black hole that is teacher Instagram, and started
rabbit hole. Be careful.
started finding all of these amazing creative ideas of teachers who were kind of bringing experiences into their classrooms and taking it from a school setting where we were sitting in desks with pencils and working on worksheets as children, and taking it up a notch and saying, I'm not going to do things the normal way. I'm going to do things the way that is going to make my students fall in love with learning and identify and define themselves as lifelong learners. So it was really exciting to see what that looked like. So in the early examples that I saw, they would put tablecloths up hanging from the ceiling to disguise the room. They would bring props in, costumes in for their students, really getting them involved in the learning. Instead of worksheets, I started seeing like a lot more centers-based activities, they were learning activities disguised as something else. So my very first classroom transformation I attempted was a doctor's themed, like a hospital themed classroom transformation. So I went to the dollar store, bought these shower curtains that were blue and white, and put them up all around the room to kind of change my classroom walls into like a operating room kind of look. And I had an amazing parent who was a medical professional that donated all of the masks and little hair nets and gloves, and that was so incredible. So having that 7 cruel hours of our lives in the back of my mind, it transformed to the exact opposite. I opened my classroom door that morning and said, okay, things look a little bit different in here, but I think that you're really going to like it. Let's see what happens today. And I have a little video of one of my students walking in at the very first time, just because I was so excited to capture their reaction to it so I could show people really what was happening in my room. And I just can't get enough of it. This little girl walks in, and I'm not trying to exaggerate or like make this a bigger deal than it is, but she looked like I think a kid looks like when they first walk up and see the Disneyland castle.
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
it was that look. And I thought if I can make my classroom feel like this for
Right.
children every day,
Right.
I'm going to do whatever it takes. I'm going to put in the extra hours. I'm going to put in the extra dollars. And I'm going to make it happen for my students.
That's
So
all for the kids, yeah.
that week we dove into these incredible activities. They're, again, wearing their gloves and masks. We did sentence surgery where we had to take all of these mixed up pieces and put them together. And then they had punctuation prescriptions that they had to put on the end of their sentence. So
Nice.
they
Good,
had
Emily.
these
Good.
little prescription bottles where they had to decide, does this one need a period, an exclamation point, a question mark? And these were all things that were mandated by our pacing guide.
Absolutely.
I was following exactly along with our Wonders curriculum that we were using in our district, and I felt very confident that if my principal walked in or if I was to find some sort of accountability check for myself as a new educator, that would be completely covered because we were doing exactly what we were supposed to be doing, but it wasn't a workbook page. They were and they would have to immediately stop and get their whiteboard out and solve the problem that I put up on the board. So we were integrating math into our reading block, which was so
triage
fun.
action going on. I
Exactly.
like it.
Emergency room action. So they were just so engaged, and seeing the looks on their faces that whole week, it was so incredible. We moved into some centers activities where I printed off some x-rays from the internet and drew some different lengths of lines. We'd been working on non-standard measurement, moving into standard measurement. And this was kind of their first major practice activity after we had learned. And so they were looking at these different x-rays, and I had kind of like a write the room activity where they had to look through the different x-rays and measure line A and then write down the measurement that they found. But it was just highlighter lines on x-rays, and they were so engaged with it.
I bet they wanted to come to school every single day that week.
So we did get to the end of the week, and with their cute little faces, they looked up at me with their puppy dog eyes and said, "Mrs. Burris, what are we doing next week?" And I was like, "Oh shoot, my pocketbook is not ready for this."
My bank account is set up.
Thank goodness for Amazon Prime being able to ship things over the weekend. So the next week we dove into a construction theme and continued this on for the next few weeks. And then luckily we went to spring break, so had some time to actually get a game plan. But every couple of weeks, we started doing things like that. And then at the end of each one of them, I was taking it and putting it away in a Rubbermaid tub and putting it in my teacher closet, the black hole of all the things that we store in our teacher hoarder closets. But then someone saw the pictures I had posted on Facebook just saying thank you to the parent that had donated supplies, and really just advocating for my profession, saying this is what it can look like when we're coming from the teacher walkout, a time of, like I said, tension and frustration. As a new educator, I wanted to say teaching is not the only the negative things we're hearing right now. Like there's amazing things happening in Oklahoma classrooms. We're really having a good time in here and doing some rigorous learning. So I wanted to put that out there. So some other teachers started saying like, "Hey, I'd love to try that. How could I make this happen?" I was like, "Well, you should use my things. Like use this tub of stuff that I already purchased so you don't have to worry about the financial burden of it." And so then it kind of started being like a little checkout system. And it kind of grew and grew from there. So I did a small t-shirt fundraiser to keep being able to do more themes. And then luckily this summer I had some friends and family who wanted to kind of support moving forward with this. So I did a little fundraiser, and at the fundraiser happened to be an attorney from Tulsa who said, rather than a monetary donation, I'd like to provide the services at no cost to help you to go through the process of becoming a 501c3 nonprofit.
Nice.
So out of the blue, my little passion project turned into
a nonprofit.
Something way more official than I ever had dreamed of. But it's kind of interesting when you think of like accepting donations and what that looks like legally. And I was so thankful that that opportunity came about. And he said, just in the most like, I believe in you, I support you, let's root for this project way, that it was going to be more than I thought it was, and that this was only the beginning. And I thought, wow, that's, when someone's putting those words on you, you're like, okay, I'm ready. So with that,
was it kind of daunting? Like that seems like scary. Like if you just had a little, thing in your classroom, but then everyone's like, there's like 300 other classrooms that want to do this as well. Like how does like, the logistics of that? Oh man, it just, that seems a little frightening. For a first-year teacher.
I definitely re-entered that role of a lifelong learner. Now I've been really diving into the world of Oklahoma nonprofit work. Got to become a part of Oklahoma City Young Nonprofit Professionals Network, which has been really amazing. There's so many great people in Oklahoma who just want to offer their services, and they care about our kids. They care about education. So there's a lot of people who have been willing to offer support and helping me just to develop this and grow this organization. And it's kind of been through trial and error, through learning, through really seeing what teachers want. I don't want this to be an Emily Burris organization. Now that it's gone beyond the walls of my classroom, I want it to be something that's for Oklahoma teachers and for our Oklahoma classroom. So trying to get some feedback on what other people are looking for and what we can do to benefit their classrooms. Since that time, we've increased from just the little Rubbermaid tubs that I had in my closet to 12 full themed kits, with a couple more in the works. We've gone from all different kinds of themes, from detectives and superheroes, and we have a chef's kit in the works that a couple of local Yukon restaurants are helping us to figure out. I would just want them to be authentic. Like when we're talking about the construction themed kit, I had luckily some people in my family who came from a construction background, and we're talking about authentic experiences that I could bring to my students, which was a big part of working in a Title I school. I thought there's a lot of experiences that we're just missing.
Absolutely.
So being able to not necessarily take unlimited field trips, what can I bring into the four walls of my classroom? So with that one, we were able to FaceTime some construction professionals. They were drawing their own blueprints. We were talking about the different aspects of architectural design, all of these things within first grade. And we were printing out articles from ReadWorks of like things they were interested in on the topic on their reading level. When we talked about differentiation, it was so easy to make this something they were invested in within this different kind of theme. They were skip counting as they hammered nails into a board.
That's big time.
Brave. We had a parent donate a bunch of scrap lumber, and my students were able to measure out their own different shaped blocks, and then a parent offered to cut those, and then my students actually left with their own sets of blocks to take home. So we took this construction theme and turned it into like this big math, reading, literacy enriched project, and it was so cool to be able to see those experiences that we're bringing to them. We did a travel themed kit where I think a lot of teachers get in the mindset of like, okay, so if it's a travel themed kit, then we have to be like traveling to different destinations. This is a social studies kit. I want to challenge that and say, no, it could be for any subject matter. It could be any grade level, any setting. I was going to say we've had our kits used in daycare centers, childcare centers. We've had them used in Sunday school classrooms. We've had them used in every grade, pre-K through 6th so far, working on developing some kits that we think our older students might be more interested in. We've had...
I saw you guys are doing like a Harry Potter one, right?
Yes, I'm really, really excited. As the funding comes in, we're able to continue working on building these different themed kits. We are working on kind of a court trial debate kit that we thought could be really interesting. There's an amazing lady that I found on teacher Instagram. Like I said before, her name's Apron Education, and she does these really amazing social studies units. She had her kindergartners writing bills and then figuring out the process of how to pass them into laws. I thought that was really interesting. So they were saying, a problem in our classroom is that we use too many paper towels. We're wasting our paper towels. And so she's like, well, what are we going to do about it? And they talked about how they could write a bill to say the law in our classroom will be that we're going to use 2 pumps of paper towels per time that we visit the sink. And so they were writing all of this down with their invented spellings, and she's supporting them through all of that. And then they were going through the process of voting and passing a bill, and she was dressed as a judge, and all of this stuff was happening. And I just thought, how neat is that to give them these experiences and this knowledge subconsciously while you're really just working on classroom community and procedures in your classroom. Within that context as well, I've seen math teachers put out 2 answers to a math problem, and the students have to be like the defendant and the prosecution, and they're trying to find evidence of why this is the right answer, and kind of going back and forth where you're turning a multiple choice test review into something so much more. It was so creative.
It's so much more sticky that way.
Oh my gosh, I know. And things that you're thinking like, there's an amazing teacher at my school who talked about how equivalent fractions and simplifying fractions was just very difficult for her 4th graders, and she said that was something that they were just so defeated about. So she found out about classroom transformations a few years back and developed this spy lab that she was going to do. So they had to like do these ciphers and crack these codes and to find the different ways that they were going to simplify the fractions. And when they found the answer, it unlocked something else, kind of like an escape room in the classroom. And the kids completely changed their mindset on learning something new, where they were coming into it with very little background knowledge, just applying what they had been learning throughout the year and then taking it to the next level as spies in the classroom.
That's so cool.
So there's so many things that I think that we could be doing. Like going back to the travel kit, I was wanting to expose my students to like even just the experience of what does it look like to get on an airplane. A lot of them had never done anything like that before. So I met them at the door wearing my pilot's hat and my little wings and aviator glasses and said, "Welcome to Burris Airlines. Today we're going to be flying all over the place to gain more knowledge." And I said, pack your bags full of all of the information you think you're going to need on this trip, and handed them each a plane ticket. Desks just moved into rows. Like it was 2 seats on one side and 1 seat on the other side. And they filed in with their tickets and found their seat. They put their backpack rather than on the hook underneath the seat in front of them. Nice. A lot of them started saying, "Miss Burris, my legs feel cramped." I said, "Welcome to Delta Airlines." Just kidding. But it was so fun just seeing them like understanding what that looked like. Up on the smart board, I put a little video of a takeoff simulation. So they were like, we would walk around and like rumble the seat in front of them, and that was so much fun seeing them like, "Oh my gosh, I'm on an airplane for the first time." I was like, "Actually, we're just in room 9A at Myers Elementary," but they were like really diving into what that looked like in experiential learning. Throughout the day, we traveled to all of our different subject areas for a week, and then while we were also traveling, we were able to travel to Mexico and invite our ELL teacher in to talk about the experience of growing up in Mexico and making connections to a lot of our EL students. We made paper flowers that she had made and talked about a lot of different cultural aspects of what we were doing. While we were in Mexico, we did a little bit of math. Then we jumped back on the plane and we flew to Japan. Actually, one of our special ed teachers had moved here from Japan, and she wrote all of their names in Japanese characters, told them all about the words they already knew in Japanese, connecting it to them. She said, "Does anyone know the word Pokemon?" And they were like, "Yes, me." And she was really diving into like their grade level, just really bringing it back to their interest levels. And then while we were in Japan, we did a little bit of social studies reading about the schools that they have in Japan, and it was just really interesting having them do like a Venn diagram of connecting what does my school look like versus a school in another country. We were working on comparing and contrasting, which was our reading skill for that week in our pacing guide. So it was just really neat how you can take what could be a workbook page and turn it into this experience. We continued moving through. They had little passports that they were getting stamps in as we moved through the week. It was really interesting, and they would leave with souvenirs from different places. We did a stop in Brazil. We looked at all of the rainforest and talked about the different ecosystems that we were hitting in our science curriculum. And it was just really interesting that you could take a different place around the world and turn it into all of these different experiences for them. But then you think of like, it doesn't have to look that way. If you're just a math teacher and in a high school, you could transform your classroom into this. And then instead of moving around from all these different countries, you could be visiting and stopping at all of the different ways to solve an equation. Or you could, I'm not from a math background, but you know, when you think of all the different things that you could do with that, you can take any of these themes and mold them to your curriculum, to your subject area, to your grade level. And just seeing how versatile the kits are. One of our superheroes kit was used in a 2-year-old classroom at a child development center, just talking about rules of the classroom and what does it look like to be a hero in your classroom and be a good friend, just talking about citizenship. And then in the same way, I've seen it used in an 8th grade classroom. They were working on talking about modern heroism, and they were looking at different current events, and they were taking the news articles and saying, who was the hero in the situation? What does modern heroism look like? And talking about the characteristics of those people who were being a hero in a current event. I thought that was really neat. Another teacher in 5th grade used the superhero kit, and they were in an ELA classroom. She had them write their own origin stories. So while they were working on narrative writing, she said, okay, I want you to come up with your own superhero, and I want you to talk about the origin story for this superhero. It was just all the different ways you could use it. They're really kind of a shell for greater learning. So you can take it.
How do you like come up with this sort of stuff? Like, where do you get your inspiration from on this?
I don't know. I just try and, like I said, think of an authentic activity. So, with the doctor's unit, like I said, just looking at x-rays, then all of a sudden I was like, well, with the x-rays, I could use this for measurement. And it just turned into drawing highlighter lines on it. With another grade level, you could have different x-rays and they have to piece the pictures together as they saw them.
Yeah.
All you have to do is write a math problem on the back of each of the
Right.
pictures and then put it together, and it equals a whole x-ray when you have all the pieces
Yep.
put back together. I think a lot of it is just finding like pretty generic activities and then being able to take your curriculum and kind of slide it inside of it. In our camping kit, we've got these little fish and a magnetic fishing pole. So they're just an authentic experience that you might have when you're camping, going fishing in a river or something like that. So we took these little fish that we cut out in their white dry erase kind of thing. And so we've had different teachers put on them. Some teachers put math facts on into the river. All these are with quotation marks. A river is a piece of blue butcher paper on the floor. And they're going fishing, and every time they catch a fish, maybe it has an A and a math problem on it, and on their paper they write A and the answer or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's really just kind of, like I said, that shell for fitting in your curriculum.
Yep.
That's one of my favorite parts about Operation Engagement, though, is kind of being able to do that instructional coaching, but on a wider scale.
Right.
Kind of brought in the impact that I'm able to have. Along with all of the kits, we offer that if you need any help planning any of the activities, that we're here to support. So while I don't know the 7th grade math standards, I know where to find it, and I can dive into it. And if a teacher is willing to sit down and take the time to talk on the phone or to meet in person just really quickly, we can come up with quite a few activities to fit within something that they like.
I like that. Yeah, it sounds very adaptive. It sounds like you can use it in almost any subject, you know, like you said. And wow, okay. So how do you well, first thing, I bet your freaking principal loves you and just sings your song all over the district.
My
all
principal
their friends
has been such an amazing advocate. She's actually on our board and has really been helpful in the grant writing process, learning about what that looks like. And as I move into a leadership position, I was kind of timid in a new school building to kind of feel like I was pushing any of this on teachers, because we all know there are so many ways to be a good teacher.
Absolutely.
You don't have to do all of this to be considered a good teacher. It's just fun and engaging. So I didn't want any of the teachers feeling like I was coming in pushing this agenda or posting to our email boards about, well, you guys should try this, you should try this. So I kind of just sat back and posted on it on my personal social media and kind of let the word spread. But like you said, my principal has been such an amazing advocate in taking it to the district level and talking about it at principals meetings, and I really appreciate that. Just the help in spreading the word. And
but does she ask you to go to different elementary schools and talk to their teachers and stuff like that? Or what?
I've been invited to a few faculty meetings, not only in my own district. Teachers have heard about it and used one, and they say, I don't want to be the only teacher in my school teaching this way. I want you to come and talk more about the vision and mission of your organization and talk about the resources that are available, which is one of the best parts, is that they're available at no cost to teachers. So all they have to do is log in on the website and
just reserve it.
Exactly. And then we go from there.
Nice. Okay. Will you kind of plug that website? Like how, like if I'm a 3rd grade teacher or whatever, and I want to explore, just see what kind of kits you have and stuff like that. Like where can I do that at?
Absolutely. It's just operationengagement.org. If you accidentally type in .com, it's still going to take you there.
Sure. Oh, nice.
I don't know.
Good.
Someone who's good at technology help me figure that one out. But operation.org takes you to our website, and on the front, it kind of talks a little bit about just our mission as an organization, what we're hoping to do for students. It's got some student testimonials, some quotes from students who have benefited from our resources, just reminding teachers that we're not doing it so that we look good on our own terms. It's just to make kids fall in love with curiosity and exactly. Moving into our resources tab is where you'll find all of the parts to reserve a kit. Under resources, it talks a little bit about what a classroom transformation is, what it's not, and then it has all of our themes listed. When you click into one of the themes, it has a calendar, and then it just shows which times it's available. Within each of the themes, it gives a small description, but it seems vague, but I wanted to leave it up to the teachers' imagination or creativity. I didn't want to necessarily list everything that you should be doing when you're using this kit. When a teacher reserves a kit, it comes through to our email and we get in contact with them as soon as possible. Just talk about how we can support them, what their planning looks like. And then with each kit reservation comes a Google Drive folder. It has like an inventory list of all of the things that are available within each kit. It has lesson ideas that some teachers have used just to give you a little bit of spark of creativity. Maybe you find something that's from a similar grade level or a similar content area. Within that, it has a place where teachers have offered feedback of what I wish I had thought of or what worked for me, just some tips and tricks that they've used. Within that also, in that Google Drive folder comes a media folder and a resources folder. In the media folders, just photos that teachers have shared of the kit in action in their classroom, whether the photos are used to help a teacher know how to set up the classroom, ideas of activities that a teacher was doing. It just helps because every classroom looks differently when it's set up. So just how they maybe made that work in their room. And then in the resources folder are things that Teachers Pay Teachers authors have offered to share with us. A lot of just different activities that are themed. Maybe there's a camping activity that's a phonics worksheet, and we'll just add it in there just because you never know what someone's going to be able to use. But that's all in development. And every time that a teacher uses a kit, we just send them a Google form of a survey kind of at the end of what worked for you, what didn't work for you, what are ideas, how could we improve this? And all of that is put in to kind of grow that network, all of that information that teachers are able to use to benefit the next classroom.
Right. Yeah, paying it forward. I like
Absolutely,
it.
yes.
So with you guys being a nonprofit now, like you said, that kind of opens you guys up for a lot of donating dollars. How do people contribute to this thing?
On our website, operationengagement.org, there is a donate tab, which is really helpful. Every now and then on social media, we've been trying to do even like a $5 Friday where we post our donation link and people are able to donate even just $5 at a time. When we're thinking of these resources being able to be reused and reused, every dollar goes a long way. So far, we're a small organization, and I'm proud to say that 100% of all of our proceeds go directly back into, or not all of our proceeds, all of our donations go directly back into the organization. So all of our donations are going back into increasing the number of themes that we have available, eventually duplicating the popular kits so that we can reach more classrooms at a time. We're working on developing kind of a network where we could maybe have representatives in different areas of Oklahoma where the kits are able to be delivered on a more expeditious pace. We're just trying to really grow and look into what the future could hold. But a lot of those donations go toward just growing the kits and making them more extensive and even more vibrant to be able to transform your classroom.
Nice. Last thing, and then we'll do the lightning round.
Absolutely. Lightning round.
Don't worry about it. You have a lot of knowledge in your very short career. And like you said, things are changing so fast in education. How could someone get in contact with you to maybe come and speak to their kindergarten team, their first grade team?
Absolutely. On our website, we also have on operationengagement.org, we have a contact form that's just a general inquiry kind of form, and we welcome any type of communications there, whether it's feedback on a kit on how we can improve or an invitation to come speak at a faculty meeting or even just a one-on-one with a teacher. I know that I got to where I am because of the teachers who invested in me, and I would love to be a part of any professional developments that are going on in districts. I was going to say the things that have made me be able to feel confident moving into this are just seeking out the different types of experiences that are available for educators across Oklahoma. And anytime teachers are interested in anything like that, I'm happy to talk about professional developments that I recommend or anything like that. The writing project at OSU was huge in helping me to develop my ideas and launch any of what I thought this could be as an educator. So I'm happy to talk and give back from what all the teachers have poured into me as an educator.
Very good. So operationengagement.org.
Yes.
Or .com. You're all going to get the same
.org
place,
or .com, yes.
Get on there, look at the resources, book a kit, change some lives in your classroom.
Yes, I'm excited to work with more teachers.
Yeah, this is going to be good. I wish you all the best of luck. Ready for the lightning round?
I feel like it's like bum bum bum.
Bum. But can we get some like exciting music? No. Oh, okay. No, don't worry about it. We'll edit something in. Don't worry. All right, ready, Emily? Emily Burris, OperationEngagementOrg. Ready for a lightning round? Ready? Pancakes or waffles?
Waffles.
Okay.
That's like a Leslie Knope thing. I don't know. I just said waffles.
Leslie, no. I love it. Parks and Rec all day. Pepsi or Coke?
Dr. Pepper forever.
So that is a Coke product. Just we are sponsored by. We are not sponsored by.
7-Eleven Dr. Pepper ices are where it's at.
Oh, 7-Eleven ices. Okay, we got to keep moving. This is lightning round. Beach or mountains?
Beach.
Okay.
With lots of sunscreen.
Okay. Oh yeah, sure. Okay. Comedy or drama?
Comedy.
Okay. Anything on that one?
I just love a good laugh.
Sure.
That's why I'm in first grade. I think I have the sense of humor of a 7-year-old. My poor husband.
Hysterical, man. Those kids
I think
are
I'm
hysterical.
funny. They think I'm funny. We're all friends.
This one's a softball, elementary or secondary.
Elementary for sure.
Pumpkin pie or sweet potato pie?
Christmas.
Okay.
I just love. You gotta love Christmas when you're an early childhood teacher.
Oh,
it's
okay.
like the magic is like in their eyes every day.
Right. If you're going somewhere, are you driving or flying?
Flying or being driven. I'm not a fan of driving.
So you're not driving.
Poor Mr. Burris.
Mr. Burris put in the miles.
Yes.
And then tell me about your favorite teacher and why.
Beverly Waldorf, who I talked about before, made just a huge impact in who I felt like I was as a learner.
Is she still teaching?
No,
She
she
retired?
is unfortunately passed away since that
poor
time.
baby.
She is an incredible teacher, and I just think back to the times whenever I was being viewed as a student who had ADD, a student who couldn't get their work done, a student who could be labeled as so many things.
Right.
And she was all the while just making magic happen in the classroom. She was differentiating before it was cool. She was having us engaged in project-based learning, doing all these incredible things back in the 2000s, early 2000s. She was so incredible and just really helped us define things that we loved to learn about and said, okay, you don't have to love all learning, but I want you to love being a learner.
Yeah.
And just kind of left us with that curiosity moving forward. But I really think about all of the teachers who I'm still in contact with. I'm from Broken Arrow, and I just think of all the incredible teachers that I had the chance to be in their classroom. And so many of them have commented on posts on Operation Engagement's social media pages, said the Wolf Creek teachers are proud of you.
Yeah.
And honestly, those things mean the most.
Oh, yeah.
Coming from people who I look up to so
Right.
much and really aspire to be like. I'm so thankful for all of them.
Yeah, it really is good. Emily Burris, we appreciate your time. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, check her out on social media, Instagram, Facebook. Go to her website, operationengagement.org. Order yourself a kit. Donate if you got it in your heart and in your wallet. Let's keep this thing going. This is a great stuff for all of our kiddos, especially our early childhood kids. So yeah, once again, we appreciate having Emily Burris on. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys so much.